In Hollywood, roles aren't always cast. They're taken, sometimes with charm, sometimes with power, and sometimes with a whisper campaign, so quiet even the studio pretends it never happened. But this time, someone talked. Someone finally broke, because Jessica Chastain had spent nearly 6 months preparing for her next Netflix project, a razor-sharp, psychological slow burn called Glass Harvest. Her name was on every shortlist. She'd already met the director. The production design was built around her aesthetic. The costume department was sketching pieces tailored to her frame. Then came one meeting, one pivot, and the actress who had never been discussed, never auditioned, never even been rumored, walked into the project like it had always belonged to her. Blake Lively, N.O. announcement. No explanation. Just there, when people asked why, the silence got strange. The calls went unanswered. Emails in review. Netflix offered no statement. If that sounds familiar, it should, because first it was Emma Stone, then Anne Hathaway, then Meghan Markle, and now Jessica Chastain. What happened next wasn't just another Hollywood recast. It was a masterclass in quiet erasure. The kind that only works when no one fights back, because getting in the way of Blake Lively's comeback and Ryan Reynolds' secret pitch deck was a mistake. And this time, someone had receipts. Word spread that Jessica had been locked into Glass Harvest. Until, allegedly, someone with more influence, someone with a deeper relationship to Netflix, rewrote the script. Literally. And just a reminder, every deleted tweet, fake headline, and PR backpedal takes hours to piece together. If you want this channel to keep uncovering the playbook, hit that join button. We expose what they won't. Jessica didn't get angry. Not right away. She assumed it was a mix-up. Maybe casting had changed direction. Maybe Blake had signed on to another project. Then her phone rang. A producer she hadn't spoken to in years, a quiet presence from an old indie drama, called her.
His voice was strained.
Hesitant. Hey, I wasn't going to say anything, but you need to know what's going on. Jessica stepped outside. It was raining in LA. A rare moment. A warning. They're rewriting Glass Harvest. Blake's not attached, she's the lead. She came in with a revised pitch. Your name was on it. Crossed out. Jessica didn't respond. There's more, he added. Ryan pitched it with her. They're calling it a power couple thriller package. It's being shopped to streamers. She asked if it was confirmed. He paused, then sent a screenshot from an internal Slack thread. Not a formal document. But the words hit hard. Ryan plus Blake package feels like the cleaner sell. Jess is too prestige, too serious. Jessica read the message in silence. Not because she was shocked, but because she wasn't. They said she was too serious for a thriller. And yet somehow, Blake Lively, giving fashion editorial energy in every scene, was the better fit. At first, Jessica stayed quiet. Let them cast who they wanted. She wasn't going to spiral just because a project she helped shape got handed to someone else. But then came the panel. Jessica had been scheduled to attend. She pulled out last minute something about scheduling, and suddenly Blake showed up. Not promoting a film. Not attending for press. Just there, wearing a look so precise, so unmistakably curated. It felt less like inspiration and more like a message. It wasn't just the gown. It was the hair, the lips, the posture. The exact same deep crimson lip, the same polished auburn waves. The same sleek, minimalist gown Jessica Chastain had worn to Cannes in 2022, now reappearing on Blake Lively 2 years later, down to the hemline. The side-by-side comparison hit social media within hours. Sorry, but this is wild. One fan wrote. Blake Lively showing up in Jessica Chastain's old can look like it's a rental. What are we doing here? But that wasn't the part that made the industry squirm. 3 days later, Blake appeared on a podcast and repeated a line, verbatim, that Jessica had coined during the press tour for the Eyes of Tammy Faye. I think what makes a performance authentic is when you're not chasing the moment. You're just letting it find you. Jessica had said it quietly, offhandedly, in a Vanity Fair behind-the-scenes reel back in 2021. Fans hadn't forgotten. And when Blake echoed the same phrase, the reaction was swift. Copycat or coincidence? The internet decided. New podcast appearance? using Jessica Chastain's quote word for word. One tweet read, "This is not subtle." Jessica didn't comment.
She didn't have to.
The momentum had already shifted online, and then something strange started happening. Jessica's team had already completed the first wave of promo for her new Netflix thriller. Press junkets were wrapped. Panel interviews done. Her Tonight Show appearance was scheduled. Variety had locked in a dramatic editorial shoot. Everything was in place, until it wasn't. Suddenly, promo clips set to go live on Netflix's YouTube were delayed for review. Her Tonight Show booking? Postponed. The Variety shoot? Scrapped, with a vague note about stylistic overlap. And, the most chilling part, an interview she'd done with her co-star, a respected indie actor, simply disappeared. The footage existed. Jessica had seen the final edit. Now, everyone was pretending it never happened, until someone leaked a Slack screenshot. Kill the Chastain rollout for now. Ryan's team flagged a confusion concern with a lively campaign. Jessica saw the message. She didn't make a statement, but her publicist made a move that said everything they like to tweet. I don't know who needs to hear this, but Jessica Chastain didn't get where she is by being someone's placeholder. She built the lane. That's when the theories began, not in the tabloids, but from industry assistants, interns, freelancers. Whispers that Ryan Reynolds had quietly inserted himself into Netflix's campaign scheduling. That certain actors were getting strategic silence, so others could dominate the spotlight. That Netflix, now terrified of prestige drama among its top-tier talent, had begun enforcing rollout gaps under the guise of brand clarity. According to one assistant, that phrase was code for, "Blake wants the role," and Ryan's making sure it's hers. Jessica wasn't new to this. She'd seen it before. You sign onto a film. You shape the story. You build a character from the ground up. And then someone with a louder PR machine and more leverage shows up to absorb it. What she didn't expect was to see the alternate version begin without her point. 3 days after her promo vanished, Jessica got a message. Not from her agent. Not from Netflix. It was a junior screenwriter she'd once worked with on a tiny 2017 thriller. Is it true you dropped the Black Dove? Just got asked to rewrite the lead for Blake. Jessica stared at the name. The Black Dove was hers. She'd been developing it for over a year. Script notes, character rewrites, and endings shaped to give the lead more autonomy. It was a bruised, slow-burn drama. The kind of role that changes a career. And now they wanted Blake. Not as a co-star. As her. Jessica didn't reply. But the next morning, her stylist posted something to Instagram. An O-tags. No caption. Just a photo of the original Black Dove mood board. Jessica's handwriting in the corner. She doesn't play roles. She shapes them. Fans noticed. And they didn't forget. LMA not Jessica letting everyone know this role was hers from day one. You can't just slap Blake on it, repackage the trauma, and pretend it was always part of the plan. And just when the timeline thought it had heard everything, came the cherry on top. A leaked audio memo.
Short. Compressed.
Rough around the edges. But unmistakable. Ryan Reynolds. Talking about Black Dove. If we age it up, soften the PTSD arc, and dial back the grief, she'll kill it.
She's Blake.
She can pull anything off. It was a labyrinthine betrayal. Jessica had stayed silent through more intricate crucibles than this. But this wasn't just about creative disagreements anymore. This was about being overwritten, erased from the tapestry she helped weave, and watching it handed to someone who didn't even believe in the role when it was first born. This time, she wasn't going to let it slide. Jessica didn't call her agent. She didn't loop in her publicist. She called the studio head, the actual decision-maker who orchestrates the greenlight symphonies from behind mirrored glass. When the assistant picked up, they didn't even ask why she was calling. She's expecting you. Which meant they knew Jessica didn't raise her voice.
Didn't demand.
Didn't evoke status. She asked one question, simple but devastating, like a shard of glass placed with care. If this was your story, would you let someone else take credit for it? The line went quiet. Then the exec responded. Off the record? It wasn't our idea. Ryan brought it in. Said Blake wanted something sharper. Less internalized trauma. More elevated danger. Jessica blinked. Elevated danger. That was code. a euphemism threaded through the industry's kaleidoscopic language. It meant less soul, more gloss. That's when the realization struck. This wasn't about Black Dove anymore. It was about Blake trying to transcend Jessica's entire narrative, twisting her from respected auteur into a relic. Difficult. Replaceable. And Ryan? He was selling the rewrite like a favor wrapped in victuals and velvet. Jessica didn't retaliate publicly. She didn't leak. She just hung up. 3 hours later, Ryan's team sent out a press teaser for a new thriller. Different title. Different setup. Allegedly, except it had the same composer. Same producers. Same log line. A woman haunted by loss, drawn into a dangerous surveillance game she never agreed to play. Sound familiar? Jessica didn't flinch. She opened her notes app, typed one line, and posted it to X. You can try to rewrite the script. Just don't act surprised when the audience walks out halfway through. But the next twist didn't come from her. It came from someone entirely unexpected. Ruth Wilson, an actress revered for choosing roles that bite, not beg. She wasn't even involved with Black Dove, but she'd seen this kind of rewriting play out before, not in scripts, but in inboxes. In unspoken deals, she posted a single 23-second clip. No caption. No call-out. Just a quiet interview from 2023. In it, Ruth sits on a panel of women in film. Someone asks, "What's the weirdest feedback you've ever gotten after turning down a script?" She smiles, exhausted, enigmatic. "A producer once told me, it's okay. We'll Blake it up a bit. You'll see it at the Globes anyway." She laughed. The audience laughed, but now, everyone understood. The comment went viral. Threads unfurled like vines in a verdant forest. Fans delved deep, comparing the leaked original Black Dove draft to Ryan's reimagined version, and the difference. Glaring. Original. A woman grieving a violent betrayal uncovers a surveillance network built to erase the rest. Now lost in a Hollywood mosaic, but not forgotten. Would you like the next segment to explore how fan campaigns began pressuring Netflix, or how Ruth and Jessica's quiet alliance reshaped the narrative? Women like her knew. A glamorous archivist pulled into a seductive cat-and-mouse chase across European art houses? That wasn't the story Jessica Chastain signed up for. They'd taken the trauma, the fury, the grief, and replaced it with sunglasses, museums, and vague Euro-spy aesthetics. Once Ruth's audition clip caught fire, another name surged through the quote tweets: Jessica. One fan laid it out plainly. Ruth got the same script, turned it down. They Blaked it up. Jessica developed it. Got cut. Ryan repitched it. Now we're supposed to believe this is a new movie? Make it make sense. That moment. The story spun out of Ryan and Blake's control. Silence had worked for a while. Their version of Black Dove was gliding through Netflix's internal PR machinery, glossy press emails, curated leaks, a sleek teaser trailer that scrubbed Jessica's name from the narrative. But then the director spoke, Isabelle Fontaine, a French-American auteur known for two things: drawing raw, blistering performances from elite actresses and never giving interviews. Unless cornered, someone corner-heard. It wasn't Variety or Cannes. It was a tiny, mid-tier podcast recorded in a rented Los Angeles apartment with bad soundproofing and better questions. The episode was titled Directors We Lost to Hollywood Games. And at minute 31, Isabelle dropped a quiet bombshell. Calm. Precise. Devastating. I pitched Black Dove as a trauma story. A survival story. Jessica and I built it together. The moment I saw the new draft, I didn't recognize it. It was soft. Beautiful. But it wasn't mine. And she wasn't in it. She didn't say Blake's name. She didn't have to. When the host asked why she stepped away from directing it, Isabelle answered with a sigh and a dagger. Because if I wanted to make a perfume ad, I'd call L'Oreal. Soft. Beautiful. But it wasn't hers. The most elegant way to say, Blake ruined it. And the twist? Blake had just landed a new L'Oreal campaign. Fans began pulling receipts. Her recent photo shoot mirrored the leaked Black Dove storyboards, the original tone, the lighting, the drained palette, the detached aesthetic. It was all there. Too close to be coincidence. People weren't angry that Blake took the role. They were angry she diluted the story. Even casual viewers began uploading side-by-side comparisons. How do you go from Jessica Chastain's raw rage to Blake Lively's cheekbones and heels? The studio stayed silent. Jessica didn't tweet. No likes. No shade. But that didn't mean she was done. On May 7th, something dropped that cracked everything open. It wasn't official. It wasn't glossy. It was raw, a 94-second scene. Unbranded. Leaked anonymously on a private Vimeo link. No timestamp. No credits. But unmistakable. It was Jessica, barefoot, stripped of makeup, inside a warehouse set, eyes swollen, voice shaking. "If I die here, no one will ask who buried me," she whispered. "They'll ask who dressed me." That line wasn't in the new script. But it was unforgettable, the internet noticed. The clip spread, screen-recorded, reposted, tweeted, embedded on Reddit. Top comment: "You replace this with a perfume ad. Netflix, you good." Second comment: "We lost the real Black Dove."
Dove. Rip.
Then someone checked the metadata, and guess what? The test scene had been shot 6 weeks before Blake was even cast. That meant two things. Jessica had filmed something, and Netflix had intentionally buried it. When people pieced that together, the backlash wasn't quiet. Industry insiders swarmed comment sections with anonymous remarks. "This is how you kill a film's soul." Somewhere, Ryan and Blake were probably high-fiving. But the audience? The audience wasn't clapping. Then the scene vanished. The Vimeo link went dark. The tweet got copyright claimed. But it was too late. The footage had already torn through the internet like wildfire. By May 8th, the heat wasn't just digital anymore. Netflix execs were fielding backchannel calls from producers, agents, and, quietly, one studio partner. That partner asked a question no one at Netflix wanted to answer. Did you really scrap Jessica for Blake? Or is there something else going on? But no one, not even Jessica's own team, was prepared for what came next. Exactly 6:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a private Zoom link went live. No press blast. No preview. No RSVP list. Only a cryptic email sent to 3 journalists, 1 film critic, and an Oscar-winning director. The subject line read, "This is not a press event. This is a reminder." The link opened to a dimly lit frame. Jessica Chastain. No glam. No script. Just her at a table, 1 spotlight, 1 monologue. She didn't name Blake. She didn't mention Ryan. But every word cut sharper than any headline could. "Sometimes silence is mistaken for permission," she said. "Sometimes a woman is told to step aside for sparkle. But sparkle fades. Memory doesn't." She paused. "They didn't take my role. They took the credit. But the performance."
She leaned in.
"That stays in the blood." No Q&A. No promotion. No logos. Just one last line, barely whispered. "I was never erased. Just waiting." She ended the stream 20 minutes later. One of the 3 critics, an award-winning, verified film journalist, tweeted, "Jessica Chastain just delivered a masterclass in controlled fury. No names. No swears. Just truth." And if Netflix thinks this goes away, they've learned nothing from Sydney or Meghan. Then something surreal happened. Netflix's Black Dove landing page glitched. For the first time since launch, Blake's face vanished, replaced by a static frame of a dove, bleeding white feathers stained red. It lasted less than 90 seconds, but someone screen-recorded it. Some said it was a bug. Others called it sabotage. Some whispered Jessica had nothing to do with it, but those who watched closely, they just nodded, because sometimes justice isn't a headline, it's a pattern. And Jessica, she didn't scream. She just took it back.